What's going on, guys? Orms Forum coming, you guys, there with another video. Today's video, we're going to talk about the aftermath. Week 1, Rams at Detroit Lions. Lions win this game 20-26. Had to be done in overtime. The season opener goes to the Detroit Lions. The Lions bullying the Rams in overtime, and we'll get to that. But let's get down to some injuries that were in game pretty much. We won't really talk about too much about inactives or anything like that, but James Houston was inactive for this game. Taking away some pass rush there, but Davenport kind of did pretty well, I thought. But injuries in game, go Rams first. They are the away team. Wide receiver Puka Nacua had a knee injury, got hurt, and he was coming into this game with a banged up knee. Nothing really happened to him. He kind of caught the ball going low, slid on his butt. It looked like he kind of twisted it again, and he got carted off. Never came back. I believe that was the third quarter or late in the second. But he did get hurt. They never came back. Left tackle Joe Noteboom got hurt. He had an ankle injury, and then left guard Steve Avila with a knee injury as well. So they were down a lot of old linemen. They were doing a lot of short passes, a lot of quick releases by Matt Stafford. It was tough for the Lions to get to him, and that's the thing that this fan base doesn't understand. And I'll try to get to that. Lions never really had any in-game injuries that were really noted. I know JMO went down but came back. Looked like he twisted up his ankle or his foot somehow, but he did come back, obviously. But no one else really that I kind of heard about or seen. Let's go to the stats. Well, the Rams, because they're their away team. Quarterback Matt Stafford was 34 for 49 at 69% completion percentage, 317 yards, a touchdown, an interception, and he was sacked twice. He was, like I said, they were kind of short some O-linemen, 1, 2, or 3 guys at one time with a makeshift kind of O-line, guys shuffling around. A lot of short passes. Stafford didn't throw the ball deep much. I think he threw 2 balls over 20 plus yards. Hit a lot of short intermediate passes all day, and he looked good doing it. It was tough to get to him. What's his name had a huge game, Cooper Kupp. So we'll get to that too in a bit. But rushing the ball, running back Kyron Williams was 18 for 50 yards. Had a touchdown though at 2.8 yards a carry. They kind of bottled them up, I thought, pretty good. Running back Ronnie Rivers was 2 carries for 16 yards and 8 yards a pop. Maybe could have got him involved a little bit more, but they didn't. And then I was kind of surprised that rookie running back Blake Corum didn't really get any snaps. Didn't really see him on offense. Maybe he plays for special teams, but he got no looks, got no carries, no catches. So a little bit shocked at that one. Receiving wise, wide receiver Cooper Kupp had a great day. I think he had a career best 14 catches for 110 yards and a touchdown, 7.9 yards a catch, 21 targets. That's insane. Wide receiver Tyler Johnson had 5 catches for 79 yards. He had 1 catch that was for like 30, 40 yards, kind of ballooned that stat up a bit. 15.8 yards a catch, 7 targets. Tight end Colby Parkinson had 4 catches, 47 yards, 11.8 yards a pop. 5 targets. Wide receiver Demarcus Robinson, 4 catches for 42 yards at 10.5 yards a catch. 7 targets, and then wide receiver Puka Nacua, 4 catches, 35 yards, 8.8 yards a catch on 4 targets. Caught all his balls before he got hurt. And then defensively, cornerback Quentin Lake had 10 tackles and a quarterback hit. Linebacker Christian Rosenboom had 9 tackles. Linebacker Troy Reeder, 8 tackles and a pass deflect. Cornerback John Johnson III had 6 tackles, a pass deflection, and an interception. Outside linebacker Jared Verse, the rookie out of Florida State, had 4 tackles, a sack, and a couple quarterback hits as well. Another rookie defensive end, Braden Fisk, 5 tackles. Outside linebacker Byron Young, the guy that I was a little bit worried about, had 4 tackles and a sack. Defensive tackle Kobe Durant had 3 tackles, a pass deflection, and a quarterback hit. So, no one really stood out really individually for the Rams, I thought. I thought John Johnson had a pretty good game, the corner. Rosenboom was kind of all over the place, the linebacker making a lot of tackles. But, Verse, coming in as a rookie, and Fisk making their presence known. Holding a good offense to 20 points during regular season. Regulation is impressive, though. 26 overall when it was said and done. But, they played good. That defense played pretty solid. Nothing outstanding individually, like I said, but they did play a good game overall as a unit. They really did. Now with the stats, We talk about the Lions. Quarterback Jared Goff was 18 for 28, 64% completion percentage, 217 yards, a touchdown, a pick. He was sacked a couple times as well. He was kind of in between. I don't think he was good or bad. He didn't lose the game, obviously. He didn't really win them the game, obviously, but he made some plays when it mattered the most, missed some throws. So it was kind of like, a mixed bag. It was like a mixed bag with Jared Goff. He wasn't good or great, wasn't bad or good or anything like that. Just kind of played, kind of an in-between game, I thought. Just kind of played an in-between game, but didn't cost them the game. And that's really all that matters. Doesn't need to be a hero every week, and Jared Goff's not that guy anyways. He's not going to be a hero. He's not going to put on a cape, and he's not going to win you a ton of ball games. And that's okay. When you have a team like this that can run the ball, play a little bit of defense, hopefully, get some weapons out there. That's what you really want him to do. You just want him to be kind of like a safer quarterback. That's going to make some plays, obviously, down the stretch, but he's not going to be the hero that a lot of people want him to be. Okay, and then rushing the ball, running back David Montgomery had a good game, 17 for 91, touchdown, 5.4 yards. A carry, huge touchdown at the end, obviously, where they used him like a horse in overtime. We'll get to that in a bit. Running back Jahmyr Gibbs kind of outsnapped. I felt he outsnapped David Montgomery. He only had 11 carries, though, for 40 yards and a touchdown, 3.6 yards a carry. Wide receiver Jamal Williams, Jameson Williams had 1 carry, 13 yards a pop. Wide receiver Cleve Freeman had 1 carry for 12 yards a pop. Even quarterback Jared Goff got in on the fun for 1 carry for 7 yards a pop on a nice scramble to get a first down, actually, on a 3rd and 4, I believe it was. 163 yards on the ground for this team. They look pretty good rushing the football, especially late in the game. And then receiving, the Lions, Jameson Williams had a massive day, career game for J-Mo. 5 catches, 121 yards and a touchdown, 24.2 yards a pop, 9 targets. He was the go-to guy. He was the go-to guy yesterday, and it's not his coming out party just yet, but he's well on his way. This is kind of what we are expecting a little bit from J-Mo. This is not going to happen every week, I don't think. And if it does, that's even better. But he looked like the first-round pick that they brought in 3 years ago. He just really did. Then Sam Laporta, 4 catches, 45 yards, 11.3 yards a catch, 5 targets. Running back Jahmyr Gibbs, 4 catches for 34 yards, 8.5 yards a catch, 6 targets. Amon-Ra St. Brown was held in check, 3 catches, 13 yards, 4.3 yards a pop, and then 6 targets. We'll talk about that in a bit. Let's get to the defense, though. Linebacker Alex Anzalone had 13 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. He was all over the field. He got himself a game ball from Dan Campbell. So did David Montgomery in the locker room. Cornerback Carlton Davis, 10 tackles. Thought he had a good game. He should have had a pick, though, late in that game. Cornerback rookie Terry Arnold had eight tackles. He got a little bit kind of like, welcome to the NFL, man. You're going up against Cooper Kupp. This is what it's like, But he went up against one of the best, and he had his moments where he was good and bad as well too. Safety Brian Branch had 7 tackles. He missed a couple tackles though. He had a tackle for loss. He had 3 pass deflections as well. He had a ball where I thought he should have had an interception as well too. Stafford probably should have been picked off at least 3 times. He should have. Carlton Davis, and I thought Branch dropped 2 of them. Linebacker Jack Campbell, 7 tackles and a tackle for loss. Kirby Joseph had 6 tackles and a big interception against Matthew Stafford in the red zone, in the end zone, right there, right in that red zone. The defensive end, Aiden Hutchinson had a big game, I thought. 5 tackles, a sack, 4 quarterback hits. He had like 11 pressures. He was all over Matthew Stafford the whole game. Levi Onwuzurike had a pretty big game too. We'll talk about him in a second. But linebacker Derek Barnes, 4 tackles. Cornerback Amik Robertson, 2 tackles and a pass deflection. Levi Onwuzurike, 2 tackles, half a sack, 2 quarterback hits. Looked like he was like getting into the groove of things. He had a bunch of pressures as well too. Nose tackle Kyle Pecco, a tackle for loss, and he had a quarterback hit. Defensive end Marcus Davenport, he had a tackle, half a sack. 4 quarterback hits. I thought he played pretty well as well. He bull rushed the hell out of his right tackle pretty much a lot of the game. He's a big defensive end. He's only listed at about 265, 270, but he looks so much bigger than that. He just looks thick, and if he's healthy, he can really help out this team. We just got to keep him healthy. And then Mekhi Wingo, the rookie defensive tackle at LSU, did have a quarterback hit as well. Didn't get a lot of playing time, but he got in there. We had like 12 quarterback hits, I think, in this entire game. Stafford was on his butt a lot. Over 20 pressures. Just a ton of pressures. We didn't get to him a lot. We only sacked him twice. It was tough getting to Stafford, especially with they had that depleted O-line. So the game plan kind of changes for the Rams. They're getting the ball out fast. Not a lot of 7-step drops or 4 or 5-step drops for Stafford. He was getting the ball out to the short, intermediate zones on the field. It's a lot harder to get to the quarterback. There's a lot of people that just get upset about not being able to get to the quarterback. When you're not dropping back 7 steps back, 6, 7 steps back, and you're not really giving your defensive line a lot of time to get to him, it's going to be hard to get sacks. That's why Stafford, I think, credit to Sean McVay, he called a good game plan for a team that had, some problems in the O-line. They got a lot of problems on the O-line. So what do? They go to Cooper Kupp all day. Short, intermediate passes, and he's going up against a rookie. That's what basically you're going to do. There's no wonder he had 21 targets, Cooper Kupp. Not taking anything away from Stafford or that offense. They had a good game plan. We couldn't get to Stafford in time. We hit him a lot, just couldn't get home. And like I said, it's harder to do when you're not dropping back 7 steps every other play. He was zinging that ball out as fast as he could every time. So it's harder to get to the quarterback. So people that are saying that we have no pass rush, it's not true right now. Not true. That first game showed that we have some. Obviously, you got Hutch. Davenport looked the part. He really did. He wasn't huge on the stat sheet, even though he had half a sack. He had 4 quarterback hits. He had like 6, 7 pressures. He did his job. Davenport did his job, for the most part. And they played the run really well too. So I thought the defense played pretty good. They got gashed, obviously, through the air, but it's going to happen when you're going up against guys like Cooper Kupp, even Nakua, who's in there, Tyler Johnson, Colby Parkinson. Those guys aren't household names. But with Stafford throwing the ball, he's always going to put up big numbers. He's always going to put up big numbers, man, and especially with his release and the way that they're dropping him back. He'd get the ball, he would literally zing that ball out, and it felt like it was under 2 seconds. He was throwing the ball as his wide receivers were just barely making their cuts. And that's just the way he's always kind of been. So it was a good game plan by McVay. They just couldn't get it really rolling. I thought we made a couple big stops. We had like 3 or 4 3-and-outs. Stopped them in the red zone like twice. Held them to some field goals. I thought they did a pretty good job. I know a lot of people won't agree, but I thought they did a pretty good job defensively. Does it need to tighten up a little bit? Of course it needs to tighten up. But I thought for the most part, they did a good job. And then offensively, I thought, we ran the ball well. I thought Goff was okay. What the Rams did to Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, was brilliant. They bracketed him most of the game. Kept the corner on him, kept another guy kind of bracketed him around him, almost like a double team. It wasn't like triple teamed or anything like that. If people are going to tell you triple teamed, that's not really happening in the NFL. But they had guys hovering. They had guys hovering around, and Goff missed them a couple times. He did. There was a couple times where I saw him wide open, and Goff just didn't get him the ball. But for the most part, the Rams took him away from Goff. They took St. Brown away from Goff. And even Laporta. Laporta had a decent game with 4 catches for 45 yards, but nothing outstanding. He had a couple big catches at the end of that game, but that's going to happen. And Goff's got to kind of get used to that. He has to get used to seeing his main guys getting taken away, because St. Brown is a household name now. Laporta is getting right up there. Now, this is going to leave guys like J-Mo, Khalif Raymond wide open. Goff only threw the ball to 2 wide receivers, though, yesterday. 2. J-Mo and St. Brown. He didn't throw the ball to Khalif. Isaiah Williams didn't get any looks. I don't know. I didn't see him even out there. Tom Kennedy. I didn't see any of those guys out there. He was throwing the ball a ton to J-Mo, Amon-Ra, obviously, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Those were the 3 main guys he was throwing to. And that's okay, because teams are going to try to take away St. Brown and Laporta all year. Will they be able to do it every single game? I don't think so. I think it's going to be next to impossible. So don't panic that Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't do good for you in fantasy or anything. I have him in 2 leagues. I got St. Brown in 2 leagues. He didn't do jack. I'm not worried about it. I want wins anyways in the regular season. But don't fret. Don't panic. St. Brown, Laporta, they're going to get theirs. But at the end of that game, we were up like 17, I believe 17-3 at one point. So that's a 14-point lead, right? Going into the third, we kind of did what we did last year. It kind of almost reminded me of a game last year. Ben Johnson, for some reason the offense kind of goes stale into the third quarter. They ended up getting back into the football game, tied it up eventually. We made a couple stops on defense. The Rams went up. It was like 20-17. We came back. Jake Bates hit 2 big field goals, I thought. Well, one to tie it. It was like a 32-yarder, I believe, for Jake Bates. Yeah, he was 2 for 2 field goals, 2 extra points, 32 long. 32 long was to tie it. We have a kicker, by the way. We have a kicker. Tying it up with like 20-something seconds to go, that's pressure. And he's done that again. He did it again, so that's really good for Jake Bates. We have a kicker, man. So that's awesome to see. Tied it up, and then the overtime was an absolute sheer domination that you don't see a lot. Now, we could talk about this being like almost. I don't know if the Lions planned this. Planned this, but like I said, to me, I didn't really look deep into this, but it looked like Gibbs outplayed or outsnapped, not outplayed. Outsnapped David Montgomery. Gibbs was getting a lot of looks early in this game, even late in the game. You saw the Montgomery coming in early, getting some nice runs, and then you wouldn't see him for a while. Then you come back, you wouldn't see him for a bit. Overtime, it was all David Montgomery. It was David Montgomery. He had 4 or 5 carries for like 50 yards or 45 yards. All the way, they threw the ball once in overtime. I think it was once to Gibbs or Laporta. I forget what it was. I think it was Gibbs on a nice, like a 10-yard run or something, a 10-yard throwing catch. And then the rest was David Montgomery. He was popping off 5-6 yard carries with ease. And I don't know if this was planned like this, but he was fresh coming into that game in overtime. It was like he was not even used the whole game. It was like he was a man possessed. And that O-line bullied the hell out of the Rams. So people saying, "Oh, your O-line's old, they're not going to last." That could happen. 17-game season, but they looked pretty damn fresh in overtime. They were bullying the Rams' defensive front, pushing them back 4 or 5 yards every run. Even on the touchdown run, it was embarrassing. Like the Rams, they just looked like they just gave up. They were just getting bullied, and you know what I mean. Like, so people were saying, "Oh, it's not a good win. The Rams aren't that good." They had guys hurt. I get it, man. Okay, players get hurt. This was a pretty good win. It wasn't a perfect executing win. Like, it wasn't one of those games where you're like, they were perfect in every aspect. Special teams, offense, defense. They weren't. But at the end of that game, it showed what they're about. It was a Dan Campbell type win. Run the ball down their throat, show some character, grit, show some toughness. And that's in 26-20 was your final. It was a great win. It was a great win in that aspect. It wasn't perfect, but it's a great win in that aspect. If you guys know what I'm trying to get at. Now, do they need to tighten some shit up? Absolutely. Got to tighten some things up. But that was a good win for the Detroit Lions. 1-0, NFC game 2. You always got to win these NFC matchups. Seeding is huge. It's only week 1. but you have to win these NFC games. You know, I lost my voice yelling last night. I was at my buddies, so sorry about that too. But yeah, I thought it was a good win. You know what I mean? Things need to get tightened up 100%. Not going to deny all that. But good win, coming back, showing what they're about. Just showing what they're about, that they're not going to get walked on. They're not going to get walked on. So that's it, guys. Appreciate you guys coming in, watching the video. Big win for the Lions, 1-0. Tampa Bay next, Ford Field again. I believe it's a 1 p.m. start. So, you know, another game at home. Got to get that going too as well. So thanks a lot, guys. Don't forget the subscribe button on the bottom right. Don't forget the notification bell up top. Don't forget to like, comment, share this out. Big win for the Lions. Go Lions. Detroit versus everybody. Grit. Let's go, baby. Boom.